Alright, what is up you guys, and welcome back to the Progressive Skills in English Level 3 coursebook. In today's recording we're going to be going over the speaking section, apologizing. So let's hop right in. Here we have 2.3 real-time speaking components of apologizing. So as you can already tell, we're going to talk a lot about apologizing and different ways to apologize in this lesson, and also the responses that you might get or give. Okay? So let's start with exercise A, previewing vocabulary. Here we have, study the verbs and nouns below. Which verbs and nouns go together? Some nouns can go with more than one verb. Okay, so here we have some nouns and verbs. Have you guys ever heard of when I say, like an expression, make a promise, make a mistake, make an excuse? This is similar, right? I could say give a reason, accept an offer. All of these are phrases or vocab phrases, okay? And just so you know, nouns, or some of these nouns here, can go with more than one verb, okay? So let's take a look at do here. Can I say do an effort? No. Do a reason, do a mistake, do an offer, do research, or do a promise? Yes, research fits. So do research. Okay? Now let's go to make. Make an effort. Make a reason. Make an effort actually fits. Okay? I can probably say make a mistake. This one's correct as well. Make an offer. Make an offer also works. And we can also say make an excuse. That one also works. Make an excuse, and the good old make a promise. Okay? So make an effort, make a mistake, make an offer, make an excuse, and make a promise. Now let's go to give. Give an excuse. Again, it works both ways with make and give. So give an excuse. I can also say give a reason, right? So give an excuse and give a reason. And here we have, okay? We can use, again, excuse. Excuse works with a lot of these. So have an excuse. And I can also say have a reason. Yes. Okay? I cannot say have a mistake, by the way. Don't ever think about that. Have an effort, have research. No. Okay? For number 5, we have accept. So we'll say accept an excuse. Excuse fits with all of these. Accept a reason. Where's reason? Accept a reason. We can also use accept an effort. Okay? Or not an effort. Effort is wrong. Accept an offer. Where is offer? Here we go. So accept an excuse, accept a reason, and accept an offer. Okay? We have 6. We usually use reject with an offer. So reject an offer. Okay? And finally, we have apologize for. This one's pretty simple. A mistake. So apologize for a mistake. So do research, make an effort, make a mistake, make an offer, make an excuse, make a promise, give an excuse, give a reason, have an excuse, have a reason, accept an excuse, accept a reason, accept an offer. We have reject an offer, and finally apologize for a mistake. Okay? Now let's move to the second exercise. Here we have exercise B, activating ideas. So in Britain, people say sorry a lot. Is it the same in your culture? Is it the same in your culture, you guys? Do people say sorry a lot? I actually think that people are not really apologizing when saying sorry in Britain. I think it's that, people have said it so many times, it's part of the language. Like, if someone doesn't hear you, instead of saying, repeat that, or what was it? What did you just say? They'll usually just say sorry. Okay? But so I don't know. I don't think it's the same in my culture, like, at all. People don't like to apologize. So yeah. I don't know about your culture, you guys, let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, people do not say sorry a lot in my culture. Okay? So read the tutorial assignment on the right. What does culturally determined mean? Okay, so let's read the tutorial assignment here. Here we have Faculty of Language and Linguistics, tutorial assignment. Apologizing is culturally determined. Okay, research the topic of apologizing. Be prepared to talk about apologizing in British culture at the next tutorial. So apologizing is culturally determined. I think that means that different in different cultures. Okay, so here we have some ideas. So very strong in some cultures, the same in all cultures, not related to culture, or different in different cultures. And I think it means different in different cultures. Okay, so apologizing is culturally determined. Culturally determined means it's different in different cultures. Okay, hope that makes sense. So now let's go to exercise C here. Let it load. Here we have make a table like the one below. Okay, so I want you guys to make a table, component, and British culture, right? We're going to listen to the first part of the tutorial, and we're going to talk about what the students researched, and we're going to complete the column of the table. So here, have a listen.
Track 2.10.
At the moment, we are looking at apologizing in different cultures. I asked you to research different aspects of apologizing in British culture. Let's hear what you found.
Okay, so what did the students research exactly, you guys? That's correct. I believe they researched the different components of apologizing in different cultures, right? After all, this is what the tutorial is about. So again, the answer is they researched the different components of apologizing in different cultures. Okay? Now we're going to listen to each student and what he or she discovered about the British culture or apologizing in British culture. And we're going to complete the table after this audio, so I advise you get a sticky pad or whatever, just something to write notes down because this one's quite long. Here, have a listen.
Track 2.11.
I looked at excuses. An excuse is a reason for your action. For example, you can say, "I'm sorry I'm late. The train didn't come on time." According to my research, in some cultures, it is not polite to give an excuse. It means you are not really sorry for your action. You think that you had a good reason. But it seems that in British culture, it is good to give a reason. If you don't give a reason, people may be angry. They may think that you don't care. And that's it, really.
My topic was offers. Sometimes people offer to replace an item. For example, you can say, "I'm sorry, I broke your glass. I'll buy you another one." Apparently, in some cultures, it is rude to make an offer. The other person cannot accept it. But in British culture, offers are good. If you make an offer, people may not accept it, but they will be pleased. That's what I found.
I researched promises. A promise talks about the future. For example, you can say, "I'm sorry I'm late, it won't happen again." I couldn't find any information about this in other cultures. In British culture, I believe that promises are good. They suggest that you will make an effort in the future. Sorry, I didn't really get much information.
I was asked to look at eye contact. This means looking at people while you are apologizing. According to my research, in some cultures, it is not polite to look at people. But in British culture, it is very important to look the person in the eye. It shows that you are sincere. I found a lot more information, but that is the main point.
I did some research on formality. This is the level of language that you use. For example, you can say, "I'm sorry that I got angry" in speech, but you might write, "I apologize for my anger." One website said that all cultures have formal and informal speech, but another one said it is not true. In British culture, There is a big difference between formal language and informal language. But informal language is fine for a spoken apology. That's what I found.
I looked at emphasis. Emphasis means making something stronger. In some cultures, you can emphasize by repeating. For example, you can keep saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I found that in British culture, you can emphasize an apology with really or very. For example, you can say, I'm really sorry, or I'm very sorry, to make it stronger. I think that's all.
Alright, so based on the audio that we just heard and the notes that I personally took, and I hope you did as well, we can talk about the different components and what they mean or how important are they in British culture. So we have component 1, which was excuses, if you guys remember. So in British culture, it's important, right? So giving an excuse for your actions or when apologizing is important in British culture because people think that you genuinely care and did not mean to do what you did or had to do it out of necessity, right? But in other places of the world, giving excuses might seem like a bad idea because people think that you're just trying to justify your actions. So it depends on where you live, really. Okay? So for British culture, we'll say, so people think that you care, and the component is obviously excuses. Okay? Now let's go to the second component. We have offers, right? Giving an offer. So, hey, I broke your glasses, or hey, I crashed your car. Hey, let me get you a new one. Let me get it fixed, right? So in a lot of cultures, my culture included, a lot of people like to give offers every day, right? But people kind of reject. It's kind of not, and it's so familiar to this point that people just reject, right? So in British culture, you got to know that offers are good. So if you can afford an offer, go ahead, but just know that people may reject it and don't take it personally whatsoever. Okay? Now let's go to component 3, which was promises, right? So, hey, I'm sorry I'm late, it won't happen again, or I promise it won't happen again, or these sorts of promises, right? In British culture, it's good because it shows that you're willing to make an effort to change in the future, right? So I think in most countries, promises are actually not bad. Even in my culture, promises are good if you're willing to stick to them and don't have a bad reputation for breaking your promises. Okay? So now let's go to component number 4, eye contact. And this one is one that I've always struggled with, actually. Like, I struggle a lot to look people in the eye when apologizing or when talking. But in British culture, it's okay and good to look a person in the eye when apologizing, okay? And now let's go to the next one. We have formality. Okay, so formality is the difference between using a formal and informal language. And we know the difference between a spoken apology and a written apology, like the example in the audio where she said, she talked about, I'm sorry about my anger, like saying it in a spoken way, which was, I'm sorry, I shouted or whatever, and when writing it down, it was, I apologize for my anger, right? That's the difference between an informal and a formal language. But as a general rule of thumb, it's okay to use an informal language for spoken apology. Please do not ever use an informal language. Like, don't talk to your boss or write to your boss in an informal language. Okay? So in British culture, big difference. There's a big difference between both, but you can use the informal language for the spoken apology. Okay? Now let's go to the final component. So you want to make your apology stronger because sometimes what you did was just severe, right? Let's say you got in a fight, something happened, you hit someone on the road, it depends. So you can say, I'm really sorry, I'm very sorry, hey, I'm sorry, saying it multiple times. All of these can and probably will make your apology stronger. Obviously, if you're genuine. If you're not genuine, that it'll obviously be obvious that you're just trying to mess around. So in British culture, it does make the apology stronger. Okay? So that was exercise C, you guys. Now let's move on to the next one. Here we have exercise D, practicing a model. So study the extract on the right from tutorial. Okay, so this is the first audio from the tutorial that we just heard. And he wants us to find the area of research, an example, an explanation of the area and the research findings. So let's take it a step by step. So study the extract on the right from the tutorial. So I'm going to read this really quick and then we'll move to D1. So here we have, I looked at excuses. An excuse is a reason for your action. For example, you can say, I'm sorry I'm late. The train didn't come on time. In some cultures, it is not polite to give an excuse. It means you are not really sorry for your action. You think that you had a good reason. In British culture, it is good to give a reason. If you don't give a reason, people may think that you don't care. And that's it, really. Okay, so the area of research, or the sentences about the area of research, we can probably say, I looked at, right? I can also say, so here we have, I looked at, that is an area of research. I can also say, do we have, I think I read investigated here somewhere. So, train didn't come in some lectures. It is not polite to give an excuse. It means you're not, you think that you, I investigated. So we can use I looked at and I investigated. I think I lost it. Okay, so let's go to explanation. So an explanation here is an excuse, right? So an explanation of the area. So in this case, excuses. So an excuse is, this is the explanation of the area that we talked about, which was excuses in this case. So an excuse is a, and you can keep going, or you could simply say excuse means, okay? So both are correct. And here we have an example. A sentence, giving an example could be, for example, yeah. So for example is obviously telling us that an example is about to come. Okay, so example, here we have for example. Okay? And finally, do we have anything else? Okay, so the research findings. So what did the guy or the girl find when doing their research? So they find that, do we have in British culture? Yes, we do. So in British culture, it is good to give a reason. That is a research finding, right? Or I could say, if you don't give a reason, right? In Britain, they, and keep going, all of these are example sentences of the research findings. Okay? Now let's go to 2 here. Mark the sense groups in each sentence. And I know some of you are like, what the hell are sense groups? Okay, so sense groups are these pauses that you take. They're kind of mini pauses that you take when reading, so that you're basically similar to your stress and intonation when reading. I'll explain in a second. So here we have, I looked at excuses. You see that mini pause there? So when I say, I don't say I looked at excuses, I say I looked at excuses, right? So that mini pause there, this is a sense group, okay? So I looked at, I'll put here some sort of barrier, excuses, right? It's so small, like that pause is really not that big of a deal. You don't really notice it, right? But it is there. You just gotta make sense as a reader. Okay? An excuse, you see, I stopped for a second, so is a reason for your action, right? So an excuse is a reason for your action. So an excuse, then I'll probably pause around here, is a reason for your action. Okay? So keep going with these sentences. It'll give you a couple more. So we have, for example, no stopping here, but you do stop after, for example. Also, you have a comma, so you will have to stop. You can say, right, and then pause, I'm sorry, I'm late, right? Pause. The train didn't come on time. Okay, so you stop right after come, so the train didn't come, stop, on time, okay? Then stop again, because you do have a full stop. In some cultures, stop, it is not polite. You see that it depends. If there's a full stop, then you obviously stop a little more. But if it's just normal stopping when reading, then it's around half a second or so. Okay? It is not polite, stop, to give an excuse. Okay? It means, stop, you are not really sorry for your action. You see that stop there? So you're not really sorry for your action. Stop right there. All right? So I think that's kind of a general example of sentence groups. You could do some more research on it if you're interested. Okay? So practice saying the sentences. Okay, so we just did that. We were reading these as we went along. So let's go to exercise E, which is also related to which is also related to this tutorial model here. So we have make another table like the one in exercise C. So you guys remember the table. Here we have component and British culture, but instead it's going to be about your culture. Okay? So use the same components, but instead of British culture, use your own culture. Okay? You can use one. So you can talk about one component of apologizing. So you could choose from the many different components like excuses, offers, promises, eye contact, formality. Choose one and talk about it, okay? But make that table first, right? Do some research on your country and write it down, okay? Now let's go to the vocab box before we move on. So here we have apologizing, apparently, care, culture, emphasize, excuse, formality, linguistics, offer, pleased, promise, replace, rude, sincere. Okay? So that was the first page. Now let's move on to the second one. So here we have again everyday English, apologizing. So here we have exercise A again, activating ideas. Look at the pictures. What is happening exactly? So what do you guys see in these three pictures? So I see a couple, having problems, right? I think they got in like a fight. And here I can see, looks like the lady forgot something important and now it's gonna, cause her some problems. And finally, here we have this kid that is probably thinking about how he's going to be in so much trouble once his parents find out that he broke that vase. Okay? So, when do you apologize? Think of as many situations as you can. Okay, so I want you guys to think, what are these situations that you need to apologize? This will be entirely up to you, by the way, but I'll give you some of my own. So you'll probably apologize when you accidentally or not accidentally upset someone, right? Arrive late, right? Go back on an agreement or promise. Forget to do something. Probably cancel an appointment or decline an invitation of some sort. And this one's big. Physically hurt someone. This one is also a no-go. Don't understand what someone said. This one's not too bad, but it depends on the level of apologizing that you're doing, right? Or simply cause a misunderstanding. These are all situations that you need to apologize for. Okay? So, what might you say in each case? How can you answer if someone apologizes to you? Okay, so let's look at some of the ways that people apologize, right? So people can say, sorry, I'm very sorry, I'm really sorry, or sorry about that. I want to apologize. I'd like to apologize. I think I should apologize, or I must apologize, right? And what are some responses to these apologies? Some people respond with don't worry. Some people say it's okay. Others say never mind. Some people say it doesn't matter, right? And some people straight up say forget it when they're salty. Okay, so these are some apologies and responses. Okay, now let's go to exercise B, studying models. Let me take a look here. Here we have listen and complete the conversations. Okay, so here we have some phrases missing from the conversations, right, or sentences, and we're going to have to choose the correct ones. So I'll let it play once and then we'll solve it together. Here we go.
Track 2.12.
1.
Sorry I'm late. Can I come in?
Of course. What happened?
I slept in. I'm really sorry.
OK, have a seat. We're just starting.
2.
Oh, I forgot to bring that book for you.
Never mind. I'll get it tomorrow.
Sorry about that. Do you need it for the lecture?
No, not today.
3.
I'm very sorry. I don't think I can finish my assignment on time.
What's the problem?
I don't have time to do the research.
Don't worry. Can you do it for Monday?
4.
Excuse me, I was sitting there.
Oh, were you? Sorry, I didn't realise.
That's okay.
Let me move my things.
5.
I don't think I've got your assignment.
I'm sorry. I thought it was for next week.
No, the deadline was this week.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
6.
What's wrong with her?
She's upset because you were rude to her.
But I didn't mean to be rude.
Well, I think you should apologise to her.
Alright, so now let's complete the conversations. So we have 1 dash. Of course, what happens? I slept in. I'm really sorry. Okay, have a seat. We're just starting. So obviously we'll choose, where was it? Sorry, I'm late. Can I come in? Of course, what happened? I slept in. I'm really sorry. Okay, have a seat. We're just starting. Okay? And then let's go to 2. Oh, I forgot to bring that book for you. Never mind. I'll get it tomorrow. I think you'll say, sorry about that. Do you need it for the lecture? No, not today. Okay? 3. I'm very sorry. I don't think I can finish my assignment on time. What's the problem? I don't have time. I think it was I don't have time to do the research. Yes. So I don't have time to do the research. Don't worry. Can you do it on, or can you do it for Monday? Okay. 4. Excuse me, I was sitting there. Oh, were you? Sorry, I didn't realize. That's okay. Let me move my things is the correct sentence. I don't think I've got your assignment. I'm sorry, I thought it was for next week. No, the deadline was this week. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. 6. What's wrong with her? She's upset because you were rude to her, but I didn't mean to be rude. Well, I think you should apologize to her. Okay, so we got all of them right. Now let's move on. And here we have a simple exercise to finish this part off. So practicing the model. So take a closer look at the conversations, right, and practice. Now, what I want you guys to do is role play these conversations, okay? So one of you, if you're with a friend, right, or a classmate, one of you must apologize to the other because of these different topics. So if you're late for your tutorial, if you can't accept an invitation, if you need to cancel an evening with friends, or you have forgotten to pay your rent, for example, right? Or you misunderstood what your assignment was, or you missed a study group meeting, okay? If you don't have someone else to talk to, you guys know the drill. You have the mirror, you have your phone. You could always record a role play by yourself, Okay? So that was the first part of speaking, guys. Now let's move on to the next page. Alright, you guys, so now moving on. Here we have 2.4 learning new speaking skills. We have starting and ending a turn, reporting problems, and introducing statements. So let's go to the pronunciation check here. Let me actually open this so you guys can get a better view here. Here we have pronunciation check. Okay, so there are some different patterns when it comes to nouns, adjectives, and verbs in terms of how to pronounce the, to first and second syllable in each case. So, two-syllable nouns, right? The stress is usually on the first syllable, not the second, okay? So whenever we're pronouncing two-syllable nouns, the stress is on the first syllable. So for example, reason, effort, action, okay? So the stress is always on the first syllable, but we do have some exceptions, okay? So for example, the word excuse, you can clearly see that the stress is on the second syllable and not the first one, okay? Support, okay? This is also an exception, and you'll find some exceptions in each case, nouns, adjectives, and verbs, okay? Now moving on to two-syllable adjectives, the stress is also on the first syllable, right? Like honest, angry, tidy. The stress is on the first syllable. But again, we have exceptions, like the word afraid. You can clearly see that the stress is on the second syllable, so afraid, or polite. Okay? These are exceptions for two-syllable adjectives. And now let's go to verbs. For two-syllable verbs, the stress is on the second syllable, not the first one. Okay? So for two-syllable verbs, the stress is on the second syllable. For example, reject, accept, prepare, right? The stress is on the second syllable. And again, there are some exceptions, like the word promise, right? Promise. The stress is on the first syllable. And offer, okay? Offer, okay? So these are some of the two-syllable nouns, adjectives, and verbs, and some of their exceptions. So now let's go to exercise A, reviewing sounds. Which word is the odd one out in each row and why? Okay, so here we have a row or 3 rows of words, and we're going to have to find the odd one out. So for A, we have reason, excuse, effort, promise, and action. What do you guys think? Like, what do you think is the odd one out of all of these words? That's correct. We'll say excuse, because all the other words are stressed on the first syllable, but excuse is not. Okay, I think we also have it here. Yes, this is an exception for two-syllable nouns. Okay, so excuse is the odd one out. Here we have B. We have honest, angry, happy, tidy, allowed. The odd one out will be allowed, yes, because the other words are stressed on the first syllable, while allowed is obviously on the second syllable. Okay, so allowed is the odd one out. Now let's go to C. We have reject, accept, prepare, offer, and explain. And I think the odd one out here is, I think it'll be offer, because all of the other words are stressed on the second syllable except for offer. So offer is the odd one out. Let's check the word stress of these words. Here we go.
Track 2.13.
Reason, effort, action, excuse, support, honest, angry, tidy, afraid, polite, reject, accept, prepare, promise, offer.
All right, so that was exercise A, you guys. Now let's move on. Here we have the vocab box. Let's go over that quickly. So we have accept, allowed, angry, apologize, effort, eye contact, prepare, reject, suggest, tidy, understand. Okay? So now let's go to exercise B here. Here we have read skills check 1. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about turns. Let this open so you guys can get a better view. So we have extended turns. You must introduce your turn. So what does turn mean exactly here? So turn here means the time when you should or can do something. So in this case, we're talking about you're going to speak, right? So in this case, speaking. So the general meaning of turn here, right, in this context, is that it is the time when you can or should do something. So for example, speak, write, read, etc. Okay? So you must introduce your turn. You don't just start talking, about something without introducing your turn. Not necessarily introducing yourself, just introducing your turn. And how do you do that? You state the topic of your turn, right? You could use a plural noun or an uncountable noun. So let's look at some examples here. We have I looked at excuses, right? My topic was formality. And then you must end your turn after talking, but that's the main idea here. When introducing your turn, you can't just start by saying, hey, this and this and this happened. No, you should say first, like, for example, if you did some research on excuses, right? You did research on excuses, you'll say, I looked at excuses, right? We have different types of excuses, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So I hope you get the idea to introduce your turn. My topic was formality. My topic was crying. My topic was anything that comes to mind. Okay? And now let's go to ending your turn. You also gotta end your turn. You can't just stop mid-statement and be like, hey, that's it, right? And not even say that's it. Okay? So saying that's it, or that's it really, or that's what I found, these are also correct. Okay? So you must end your turn. So I hope you guys can get a better view. So introduce your turn, right? State the topic of your turn, right? Or I looked at this, my topic was that. You get the idea. And also end your turn when you're done. So that's it really, and that's what I found. Okay? Now let's go to skills check 2, reporting problems. So you'll encounter a lot of problems when doing your own research, and things that, like, sometimes you'll just, it won't make sense. You'll be like, what is this, right? So if you're gonna stand and talk to a class, you should explain any of the problems that you have or encountered when doing research. So for example, I couldn't find any information about. You just simply couldn't. There wasn't much information on formality, for example, right? Or one website said this, but another one said that. These are also common problems that we find when students are speaking to the class. Okay? So let me play these two audio bars, and then we'll move on.
Track 2.15.
I looked at excuses. My topic was formality. That's it, really. That's what I found.
Track 2.16.
I couldn't find any information about... There wasn't much information. One website said... But another one said...
Alright, so the first audio was about turns and the second was about reporting problems. This was simple. I hope you got the idea. So now let's take a look here. We have exercise C, practicing a new skill. Let me open this. So here we have study the extracts below from the tutorial in lesson 2.3 and correct the mistakes. Okay, so you guys remember the tutorial in lesson 2.3. We're gonna actually do this on our own, and then we'll check our answers by listening to the audio. Okay, so let's go to A. We have my topic was offer. What do you guys think the problem is? Yes, offers will have an S, plural. So my topic was offers. Okay? Then we have B. In British culture, the offers are good. There's an extra word here. What is it? So in British culture, the offers are good. We don't have it there. We'll get rid of this. So in British culture, offers are good. Okay? C. That's what I found. That's what I found it. Okay, so I gave that one up. It is wrong. I don't need an it here. So that's what I found. Stop. Okay? Sorry, I didn't really get many information. This one's simple. Many is wrong. We're going to use much here. Okay? Sorry, I didn't really get much information because information is not countable. Okay? E. I was asked, look at eye contact. I was asked, we're missing a to, right? I was asked to look at eye contact. Okay? And we have F. I find a lot more information. Or I find a lot more information. I will say I found. Find is wrong. So found a lot more information. Okay? G. I made some research on formality. Okay. Made is wrong. We're going to use the word did. I did, coming from do, so I did some research on formality. I don't say make research, right? That's why I don't say made research, right? I'll do research. I did research. Okay, so I did some research on formality. Then we have H. One website, it said that all cultures have formal and informal speech. One website, I don't need an it here, and it is useless. You don't need that at all. So one website said that all cultures have formal and informal speech. But other ones said it is not true. But another, not other. Okay? So another one said it is not true. Okay? So again, my topic was offers. In British culture, offers are good. That's what I found. Sorry, I didn't really get much information. I was asked to look at eye contact. I found a lot more information. I did some research on formality. One website said that all cultures have formal and informal speech, but another one said it is not true. So now let's listen to the audio.
Track 2.14.
A. My topic was offers.
B. In British culture, offers are good.
C. That's what I found.
D. Sorry, I didn't get much information.
E. I was asked to look at eye contact.
F. I found a lot of information.
G. I did some research on formality.
H. One website said that all cultures have formal and informal speech.
I. But another one said it is not true.
Alright, so we'll just switch out more here in F from more to a lot of. Okay, we'll just switch that. So I found a lot of information instead of I found a lot more information. Okay, but other than that, we got all of them right. Now let's move on. Here we have exercise D, really simple exercise. So rehearsing a new skill. So you're going to report some research. So work in pairs if you're together in class, right? Student A and student B. Okay, so read your research. So in this case, student A, look at page 166, and student B, look at 167, right? Now, you're gonna report your research to your partner, so in this case, student B, right? And I want you to use the tips that I gave you here to introduce your turn and end your turn. So for example, there are 4 main kinds of learning styles. They are visual, oral, kinesthetic, and read and write. Okay? So it can look something like this. So I was asked to look at learning style. That's an introduction turn, right? That's how you introduce your turn. Apparently, there are 4 main kinds of learning styles. They are visual, oral, kinesthetic, and read, write. That's all I found. That's how you end your turn. Okay? Now let's move on to the next page. Here we have Skills Check 3, introducing statements. Okay. So you guys know that we often introduce a statement with an introductory phrase, right? The phrase can give us or gives us, or we should give our attitude, or it should contain our attitude to the statement, or simply the source of the statement, right? So let's have some examples here. We have, I think that British people say sorry a lot, right? Our attitude, this is the case. So I think that British people say sorry a lot. Research suggests that all cultures have formal and informal speech. This is the source of the statement. What is the source? Research is the source of the statement, right? So I'm not giving my attitude. I'm just saying that the source of the statement, research, suggests that all cultures have formal and informal speech. Okay? Now, it is not necessary to say that after the introductory phrase. So I think that here is not necessary. But if you do say that, please do not emphasize the word. Okay? So let's go to exercise E and practice our new skill. Let me actually open this. Okay, so here we have to make each set of words into a sentence with an introduction. So here we have A, believe, apologize, people, I, Japanese, a lot, A, that. Okay, so we'll say I, we'll obviously start with I believe, we'll use that because we have it. I believe that Japanese people apologize a lot, right? Full stop. So A, I believe that Japanese people apologize a lot. Excuse me. We have B, I for understand that Americans apologize lateness. Okay, so we'll say I understand that, because we have it, I understand that Americans, right here, I understand that Americans apologize for lateness, right? So I understand that Americans apologize for lateness. C, it, excuse me, it, accident, apologize, seems, not, that, do Americans after. Okay, so it seems that, right? It seems that Americans do not apologize after an accident. So it seems that Americans do not apologize after an accident. Okay? Then we have D, friends. When strangers said to website Chinese apologize that more to people than. That did not make sense whatsoever. Okay, so we'll probably start with one website. One website said that Chinese people apologize more to strangers, maybe? Apologize more to strangers than to friends. So one website said that Chinese people apologize more to strangers than to friends. And then we have E. Apologize, someone, look, if, understand that Chinese, I, silly, make, they, people. Okay. I, we'll choose I, understand. Okay, so I understand that Chinese people, so I understand the Chinese people, I understand the Chinese people apologize if they, I understand the Chinese people apologize if they make someone look silly. Okay, so I understand the Chinese people apologize if they make someone look silly. Then we have F. For suggests often that Mexicans ask actions for their forgiveness. Research. Okay, so we'll start with research. Suggests that. Do we have that? Yeah, we do. So research suggests that Mexicans often ask. Research suggests that Mexicans often ask for forgiveness for their actions. Okay? Then we have G. Told that reasons I are not legal. Americans to for apologize found. Okay. So we'll say I found that Americans are told not to apologize for legal reasons. Okay, so I found that Americans are told not to apologize for legal reasons. Then we have H, that contact, understand, not, make, I apologize. I, Japanese, when, do, they, people. Wow, this one's a handful. So I understand that Japanese people, right? So I understand that Japanese people do not make, right? Do not make eye contact when they apologize, okay? So I understand that Japanese people do not make eye contact when they apologize. Now let's listen to the audio and check our answers.
Track 2.17.
A. I believe that Japanese people apologize a lot.
B. I understand that Americans apologize for lateness.
C. It seems that Americans do not apologize after an accident.
D. One website said that Chinese people apologize more to strangers than to friends.
E. I understand that Chinese people apologize if they make someone look silly.
F. Research suggests that Mexicans often ask for forgiveness for their actions.
G. I found that Americans are told not to apologize for legal reasons.
H. I understand that Japanese people do not make eye contact when they apologize.
Alright, so we got all of them right. Now let's move on to the final exercise. Here we have F, reporting speech. Okay, so look at the two alternatives for each situation and report the problem. Okay, you guys. So we're going to have two alternative situations, right? Or two alternatives for each situation, excuse me. And we're going to report the problem. So for example, website A, eye contact is very important, while website B says eye contact doesn't matter. So we'll say one website said eye contact was very important, but the other website said it didn't matter. And this is how you're going to go forward with this exercise, because this will be up to you. Okay, let's take B for example. We have tutor A, you have to finish it by Friday, and tutor B, you can hand it in next week. I'll probably say one tutor said I had to finish it by Friday, but the other tutor said I could hand it in next week. Okay, I'll do C, one more. So friend A, John has already apologized to Simon. Friend B, John is refusing to apologize to Simon. Okay, so we'll say, one friend said John had already apologized to Simon, but my other friend said John was refusing to apologize to Simon. Okay, let's do D as well. Why not? So we have tutor, you'll like the book, it's very interesting. I read it last year, it didn't help me. So we can say, my tutor said I'd like the book and find it interesting, but my friend said he or she read it last year and it didn't help him or her. Okay, I think that's about it for part 2 of this exercise. So for 3, look at the situations in everyday English, exercise C on page 49, right? So go in pairs, right? And take turns to give an excuse for each situation, right? And you can also make a note of your partner's excuse, right? So if I say you're late for your tutorial, I expect an apology, right? Or an excuse. So I'm sorry, I lost my money and I had to walk to college. I'm sorry I slept in, right? I'm sorry my alarm didn't wake me up, or basically any excuse. All right? So that was F, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.